Hello, and welcome to What the Fuck Am I Reading? Yeah, I know it's been a month. I know, but you know what? I've read a shit ton of books, and I'm going to talk to you about probably more than 20 books, but I'll make it brief. I'll make it brief, trust me. So the first book that I finished since I last spoke to you was Starship Troopers, which I certainly didn't really enjoy. Honestly, like, I didn't remember it being not that bad, but like that meh. Honestly, it was really complicated. Also, it's a kind of an old book, and there were some things in there that really bother me. Like, there's this passage where they explain that they have to keep the male and the female soldiers apart because the male cannot contain themselves, and it's just like, whoa. So yeah, didn't really enjoy it. I much prefer the film, honestly. Like, the film is just so satirical. This one isn't. So yeah, I will stick with the film for now. So basically, I give this one 3 stars. You can read it pretty fast. That's like a pro. But besides that, pretty okay about it. Nothing like mind-blowing or anything like that. But basically, in the Starship Troopers, you're going to follow Rico, and he enters the army basically to fight against giant bugs that are in another planet. It's just okay. I'll say it like that. It's just okay. Then I finished The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This was part of our read-along, Tommy and mine. And we have already discussed this live. I will link that live show down below. But yeah, of course, 5 out of 5 stars. I just love this book. Is it technically a 5 out of 5 star book? Probably not. But still, I'm such a huge fan of this series. I just love it so much. So yeah, join us. We're currently reading The Wall of Storms because the 3rd book, The Veiled Throne, has been pushed till December. So we're going to read The Wall of Storms between October and November. So some people have time to catch up because, like, they're big books. So yeah, but of course, 5 out of 5 stars. Then, because I wanted like something short and sweet, I read Coraline by Neil Gaiman. I loved this book before, but it's just so enjoyable. Perfect for Halloween. If you have never heard about it or watched the movie, which is perfect, by the way, like, both of these are almost exact copies. But basically, it's about Coraline, a girl who discovers like this small door in her house. It brings her to this other dimension with the other parents and such. It's just super cool. I really enjoyed it. Super creepy. I just really like creepy middle grades. Like, I'm starting to realize that I love creepy middle grades. Like, I don't know why, but I don't connect well with horror adult books. But creepy middle grades and creepy YA, I just love. But yeah, I'm sure all of you have heard about it. But yeah, I basically gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's just great. Then I finally finished Assassin's Orbit by John Appel. I was sent this by Rebellion Publishing for review, basically. This is actually the ARC copy. It came out in July, so you can grab it if you want. But basically, I was really interested in this book because it's basically, the tagline says Golden Girls meets The Expanse, and The Expanse is my favorite sci-fi series of all time. So, you know, I was pretty into it. And I get the references, don't get me wrong, but I think it's too much of a condensed story for it to be compared like to The Expanse. There's a lot of politics here, which I thoroughly enjoy. But at the same time, because I couldn't connect before with these different like nations and planets and races, I just didn't care enough when everything happened. So I was just like, oh, sure. So I didn't feel like the stakes were that high. I wasn't really that invested. So yeah, that's my main concern about it. I think that this would have been like a great duology, but as a standalone, I just don't completely see the appeal of it. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed. Not disappointed, but mostly underwhelmed by it. Like, the beginning felt really interesting, but towards, you know, the middle and the end, I just kind of lost interest, basically, because all these different players I just didn't connect with. So yeah, I'm pretty bummed about that. But what can one do? So yeah, I basically gave Assassin's Orbit 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong. I actually finished it quite like fast, honestly. I almost said rapidly. But yeah, it's very easy to read. So if you're thinking about just giving this one a chance, I would highly recommend that you do, basically, because, you know, different tastes and such. But basically in Assassin's Orbit, we're going to follow several different POVs, but it all begins with the assassination of an ambassador and the investigations surrounding that. So it's great. Like, that part is great. But yeah, careful with your expectations towards the end. Like, Then I read Spector by Megan O'Keefe, which is book 2 after Velocity Weapon. Almost forget about it. It's book 2 in the Protectorate, and I thoroughly enjoyed Velocity Weapon. It was great. And the second book, I don't think it was as good as the first one, but still really solid. I really need to read Catalyst Gate right now. But yeah, everything that I want to say about this book is kind of spoilery, so if I've read it, please let me know down in the comments below so we can chat about it. But I don't know, there was something about it. I was also in a kind of weird mood, so maybe my fault. But I kind of didn't connect with this one as well as with book 1. I don't know, book 1 had like that mysterious aura around it, and this one is much more action-packed, maybe, than the first one. Yeah, it had like no aura of mystery about it. I don't know, but I still really like it. I still think that this sci-fi series is great and extremely underrated, honestly. But yeah, I basically gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. In the first one, we're going to follow these 2 POVs, these 2 siblings. Basically, we're going to follow Sanda, and she wakes up in the middle of this ship, this enemy ship, and she's told by this AI that the war that she was fighting has ended and everyone else is dead, basically. Then we're also going to follow her brother, and he is this kind of, not ambassador, but I don't remember the title on itself, but he is basically trying to win this war 100 years prior. So yeah, that part of the first one thoroughly enjoyed, but you know, this one felt a little bit flat in that aspect, but the ending was great. So yeah, I really cannot wait for Catalyst Gate. Then I read Shade by Chad Nicholas. I did a full review on Goodreads and on Instagram, so you can check that down below, but I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I've been wanting to read Nightmare for a long time, but Nicholas reached out to me and was just like, hey, do you want Narc of Shade? And I was just like, yeah, this sounds great, please. So yeah, it was amazing. I highly recommend that you check this one out if you like thrillers. It's not like a paranormal horror like his first book, for what I understand. The first book is about something like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Basically, we're going to follow this FBI agent. His co-worker Shade basically turned into a fucking serial killer. So he's basically trying to hunt him down. We have like a lot of flashbacks. It's basically telling the story like step by step. It's great. I thoroughly enjoyed the narration. It made it so interesting, and also like that first chapter was so good, like so intense. I was starting the book and I was just like, holy shit, now I really want to read more. The only thing that I will say that might be a little bit confusing is probably just after the beginning, because there are several time jumps and you're not really sure what is going on and if you are actually jumping forward or not. So careful with that. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Also, it's super gory because you also have a serial killer called the Surgeon. So you know, you can have an idea. But yeah, I'm just not going to discuss this one anymore because it has a twist. So well done. Like, so well done. I loved it. But yeah, I gave Shade 4 out of 5 stars. I really like it. I now cannot wait to read Nightmare, honestly. But yeah, this was so good. If you like thriller mysteries, you're going to love it. Also, if you like kind of detective stories, 100%. Then I finished Revelation Space by Alistair Reynolds, which is book 2 after... I said Revelation Space, right? This is Redemption Arc. This is book 2 after Revelation Space. And I have to say that it kind of felt a little bit flat to me. I don't know. There were so many like kind of callbacks to the first book, which I really enjoyed. There's a lot of talk about Sylvester here. I liked it. But again, I felt like I liked Revelation Space more than this one, even though I really like the more sciencey aspect of this one. I don't know, I just connected better with the tropes in the first book. So yeah, overall, I really like it, but it's complicated. I really need to still, I really need to keep reading Alistair Reynolds because I think he's kind of a good author for me, even though this book could have been much better if it was a little bit shorter. Honestly, I love world building. I love world building. Is there anything better than world building? No. But there's a thing called too much world building. It's a little bit like on the too much of a chunker side, honestly. Like, some pages here could have been trimmed a little bit. Sometimes it lacked for a long time. So yeah, I think with maybe 150 or 200 pages less could have been better, honestly. It's not something that I say a lot, that a book is long. I normally complain about a book being too short, but this one was definitely on the too long side. But yeah, overall I gave it 4 stars. It's good. It kind of follows after the events of the first book. You should try 100% Revelation Space, the first book. I highly recommend that one. Probably not if you're new to sci-fi, honestly, because they're a bit of a slog to read, but I really enjoy them, so I really need to read book 3. Well, I'm going to read Chasm City first, even though I should have read it before this one. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this one. Then, because I wanted something like fast, I read The Lair of Red Valley by Walter Goodwater, which was also sent to me by Rebellion Publishing, so thank you so much. And I really enjoyed this. I was highly anticipating this because it's a horror fantasy. And it gave me the same vibes as Rules for Vanishing and Hold Back the Tide. You know, I'm so happy about it because I haven't found a book like those in such a long time. Well, House of Hollow was kind of similar, but this one gave me the same vibes. Like, it was so addicting. I finished it in like 2 days, maybe at most. It's not that long also, but yeah, it's really interesting. Basically, in this one, we're going to follow Sadie, and she is the daughter of the liar, meaning that she can kind of grant wishes. It's really weird, but they are always with a cost. And then one day her mother basically died and she is tasked with being the liar. But the thing is, the king might be in danger. It's just great. I love like the tagline, the don't trust the liar, do not cross the king, never go into the river. It's great. You have creatures, horror, a little bit of gore sometimes, but mostly like mystery horror. It's great. I highly recommend this one, honestly. Like, it's perfect for this time of the year. Like, it came out in October, perfect timing. But yeah, I give this one 4 out of 5 stars. I really need to write down like a full review of it. But yeah, overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I do have to say that it kind of lost my interest a little bit in the middle, but only a little bit. The beginning was really interesting and the ending was great. But yeah, overall, highly recommend this one. Perfect for the time of the year. Come on, I think I can go even faster. Then I read Rojo by Carlos Ceci. This is basically a vampire book about, you know, apocalypse. And this one had the same like issue as Redemption Arc, where it was too long for its own good. I love vampire apocalypses because, I mean, The Passage is one of my favorite series of all time. I just love that series a lot. And they are all over 900 pages, so I have no problem with that. But this one definitely has some filler here. Like, I just didn't care enough about some part of it. I just kind of don't like that it's actually set on the US, and it's a Spanish book. I don't know why, but I would prefer it if it was set here, like Apocalypse C, it's set on my hometown. But yeah, overall it was fine. I just didn't like it as much. It could have been shorter, so that was fine, but I like some of the changes here. It felt like a different type of vampire than you're used to see, which is good. They are not like feral, they are actually like connected and they can make slaves, and they are kind of more intelligent than your usual viral vampire, which was nice. But yeah, overall I enjoyed it, but it wasn't something like mind-blowing to me or anything like that. So I'm sad about that, but I will probably continue this series. Ooh, I just lost the book. I'm going to probably continue this series. It's a trilogy actually, so probably yeah. But yeah, overall, I give this one 3.5 stars out of 5. It's fine. It's just, you know, nothing that's going to change my life. I much prefer The Passage over this one. But yeah, if you're looking for a vampire book, 100% go ahead. Then my reading mood came back and I read like a maniac for a couple of days. So get ready. But yeah, I basically read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, which is book 3 in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And man, this book was dark. Like, so much darker than book 1 and 2. Like, book 1 and 2 were like a good ride, like super fun. This one was dark. It explores PTSD on the main character because she had like some issues at the end of the last book. But man, it was dark. Like, it was so much more adult than the first novels. Also, I will actually consider this one adult and the other one's YA. Which is kind of sweet because also the main character is an adult now, but man, this was heavy. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend this series, honestly. It's just so good in general. But yeah, careful with this book. So many trigger warnings. This one, like, there's a lot, but basically in the first book you're going to follow Pip. She is obsessed with this murder that happened a couple of years ago in her town, and she's trying to prove that the guy that was charged was actually framed and he wasn't guilty of it. It's just great. I've thoroughly enjoyed the first one. The first one is told basically notes, text, and the second one is a podcast. This one has like the same format as the first book. It's just great. It's also much longer than the first book. It's such a chunker. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this one. I'm down in between 4.5 and 5 stars, honestly, because it's so addicting and it's so different from the other two. But yeah, it was a great conclusion. I would highly recommend that check this one out. Like, it was so heartbreaking, honestly. The ending was so sad, but it picks up in the epilogue and I was just like, holy fuck, thank God. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it. Highly recommend this series. Then I read Nightbooks because I saw that the adaptation was on Netflix, and I was just like, I really want to check this book out first. It's a creepy middle grade again. It's basically about this child that is kidnapped and is forced to tell these witch stories every single night to keep himself alive. It's just great. Super creepy. Love the ending. It's so much more scary than other middle grades. Like, it was really horror-y, honestly. Like, really horror-y. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I just don't want to talk about this one too much because apart from being a middle grade, it's also quite short. So yeah, if you're looking for a good time, especially Halloween, highly recommend Nightbooks. I give this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then, because I need short books to finish my reading goal, I read This Is How You Lose a Time War. This was a very popular book last year and I missed it because I wasn't really like invested on it. And for some reason I was just like, you know what, let's just listen to the audiobook. And I did like the audiobook, I did like the ending, but overall I was okay with it. It's basically about these two agents, Blue and Red, and they are fighting in different sides of this time war, and they leave each other notes throughout time, which is cool. I like the format a lot. I really liked it. But overall, I just didn't feel that love, honestly. So yeah, I ended up giving it like 3 out of 5 stars. It was fine, don't get me wrong, it was fine. But I just don't get the hype about it. Get ready because I also just read like a lot of YA books. It's been a weird month, okay? I've been trying to read a lot. I finally read Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerry Maniscalco. I really like Stalking Jack the Ripper, so I bought this last year when it came out. I was really curious about it. And even though I really like the atmosphere of it, like it was very like a gothic town, really dark, it was too much YA for me, honestly. Like, it was fine, don't get me wrong, but everything happened so fast. The ending made not that much sense to me, honestly. Like, it was so rushed, and also, of course, insta-love. Well, it's not instantaneous, I have to say, but it's hate to love, which is a trope that I just don't like. I don't know why, but I just don't like it. It's just so boring to me when it's not well done. Like, give me a hate to love that lasts for a couple of books. Then I will be missed. Basically, in this one you follow Victoria, and she finds out that her sister was murdered, and she's trying to figure out what the hell happened. And for that, she's going to do like this exchange with the Knight of Hell. The setting is great, the mythology is great, but there's just too much going on for a really short book. Like, you can take your time, it's fine, you know. But yeah, I give this one 3 out of 5 stars. Will I continue the series? I don't know. Maybe if I'm in a weird mood again, I'll probably continue. But yeah, overall it was fine. If you're looking for a spooky gothic kind of read, you can probably try it. It's also set on Italy, which is kind of different, so I really like that. But yeah, overall it was fine. Then I finished this monster, Master Artificer by Justin Cole, which is ginormous. But this is book 2 after Master of Sorrows, which is one of my favorite books. I love it so much. So I've been anticipating this book for a long time, even when it was pushed a year. Yeah. But the thing is, I'm sure that I didn't like it as much as the first book. I'm not sure about the different POVs. Honestly, I just really liked following Neff in the first book. I really like his progression in this one, don't get me wrong, but I don't think having more POVs was the right choice, like the right move. I don't know. I will have to see the third book. Like, it's just like, am I feeling it? It's going to be a 4-book series. Yeah, I think it's going to be 4. I'll see in the next one. But overall, I enjoyed it. It's much darker than the first book. I can see that. Even though I'm complaining about the POVs, one of the POVs I really enjoyed. But other than that, the other ones I was just like okay with. Like, I would much prefer to have a Neff and the other POV that I'm not going to spoil because it literally spoils the first book, but I'm fine with it. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I just didn't like it as much as the first book, but it's more of a transition book, honestly. I might read this again when the third book comes out, and also the first book, just to compare them more precisely. But yeah, besides that, I really enjoyed it. As I told you, 4 out of 5 stars. Then I finally read The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. I really like this. It's a horror historical fiction book, which I really enjoyed. It reminded me a lot, if you have seen Fear Street, but Part 3, this one reminded me a lot of that. In this one, we're going to follow Emmanuelle, and she is basically like this kind of good girl until she is basically lured into the Black Forest, and she starts hunting with magic and such. It's great. Highly recommend this one. It's much better than Kingdom of the Wicked, honestly. Much more horrifying also. It's more like horror fantasy than like historical fantasy. But yeah, definitely horror historical fiction. Really enjoyed it. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. 100% will continue with this series. I think it's actually coming in December, book 2, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, highly recommend this one, honestly. Like, it could have been a little bit longer, and the ending felt a little bit rushed to me. That's why I didn't give it 5 stars. But yeah, overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I highly recommend it. Then I finished finally Harleen, and I loved it. It's basically a graphic novel about the origins of Harley Quinn, and the art is so fucking beautiful. Like, look at this. The art inside is great. I love this story and how it's just like twisted to fit the mind of Harley. I just love that. But yeah, I'm sure you have heard about the origins of Harley Quinn. I'm not going to explain anything to you about that. But yeah, I highly recommend this one if you're thinking about reading it. 100%, like, it was so good. There's another bind up by this author that I really need to get my hands on because the art is gorgeous. The storytelling was great. So yeah, I give it 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read Locke and Key, Hell and Gone because the second issue is coming out really soon. It's basically a mashup, well, a crossover between Locke and Key and Sandman, which are my 2 favorite graphic novels, like Joe Hill and Neil Gaiman. Holy fuck. But yeah, this issue left me like wanting more. It's basically about one of the members of the Locke family meeting Morpheus for a second there. It was great. I need volume 2 right now. Well, not volume 2, issue 2. Like they're this short 30 pages one, but yeah, I just want more. I gave it 4 or 5 stars basically. Then because I was in graphic novel mood, basically I read The Old Guard, the first one, and I was kind of disappointed, honestly. I just didn't like the artwork, and it's just so different from the movie that I watched. Like, I love the movie on Netflix. I really like it. It really surprised me. I was a little bit underwhelmed. I will definitely need to continue reading this and see if I can actually like it. But for now, I give it 3 out of 5 stars. Overall, not bad, but it just didn't 100% click with me. Then I finished Master of Djinn by Jelly Clark. Love this. Love this. The mystery was on point for me. I love the world. The world was perfection in my eyes. Like, I loved Dead Djinn in Cairo, but this one, oh, it expanded the world so much. I love it. Mechanical agents, djinns, everything, ghouls. Oh, that scene with the ghouls. So good, man. So good. I love Fatma so much. It's been such a long time since I connected with the character that greatly. Like, it's been a long time, like a long time. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I just don't want to be stuck in this one too much because I also have 3 more books to talk about. But I really liked it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Amazing. I really hope that we get more in this world. Like, I just love it so much. Like, I need more. I want more. Give me more. Because of my obsession, I also read like the other novella that I was missing, The Haunting of Tram Car 015. I hadn't read that, so I did it after finishing that one. It's a great sweet story. It only has like 1 reference in A Master of Djinn, so if you haven't read it, there's no problem about it. But I just really liked it. Overall, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I found a new favorite book. This is There Is No Antimemetics Division. It's a sci-fi book that reminds me so much of the video game Control. So much. There is this like foundation. It's kind of an agency that is basically determined to eliminate anti-memes. Basically, it's a thing that once you kind of don't see or don't think about, you forget about it. So they kind of prey on people. There are different types of anti-memes. It's just great. The story is super disjointed because the main characters are forgetting a lot of things all of the time. So there's jumps back and forth because there's in one scene they know everything about this anti-meme, and the next scene they don't know anything. So they might not remember that they're married or what year is it. It's a mess, but it's the right type of mess. If you like really weird sci-fi books like Blindside or Annihilation, you're thoroughly going to enjoy it. Like, it was so good. I'll probably do a dedicated video about it. It was so good, man. So good. The last book that I have to talk about, holy shit, I've been speaking for more than 50 minutes now. This is the last book that I read. I finished it last night. The Last House on Needle Street. It has been having like a little bit of a buzz lately. This book is a horror mystery book. I didn't like it. I gave this one 2 out of 5 stars. I don't know if maybe it's me, but I'm no longer like a partiary of using mental illness as plot devices. I just cannot with it. I just cannot. It really bored me also. Like, it's a very slow book at the beginning, and usually thriller mysteries are very engaging, but I just didn't feel it. And it's also quite confusing if you don't get it, but I don't know, the twist was so obvious that I was just like waiting for the reveal, like, but come on, just give it to me, give it to me. And it felt completely flat for me, and also, as I told you, I just don't like that anymore. Like, I just don't like it. I like it in some cases, like for example, I do like the Split movie. I do like it. I don't know. I just didn't like this one. I'm sorry, it's quite of an unpopular opinion right now. I've seen some of my friends saying that this is their favorite book of the year, and I'm just like, honestly? So yeah, that's something that I will have to carry. But we're done. Finally. What have you been reading lately? Please, have you read any of these books? If you've had any popular opinions about them, please just let me know. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one because holy shit, I'm tired of talking. Bye.